you no go leave me. Alimani olowo, ṣùgbọ́n alálàáfíà. Alimani nílé lórí o, ayé wa dùn lóye. Alimani olowo, ṣùgbọ́n a ní fọkànbalẹ̀ o. Alimani nílé lórí o, òrèǹté no dey complain.
Go all the way.
You guys are always keeping your voice down when you're benefiting from the government.
I think you read before that monkey swallowed billions. This one now, Scorpion swallowed billions.
Then my landlord gave me notice because I decided to go and vote my opponent.
Is it Nigeria the only country in this world that everything they do, they will do it upside down?
It's 99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
.3 Nigeria Info. Welcome to the nation's finest, very first and number one talk station. My name is Onyinechi Ekumankama, and it is my absolute pleasure to be your host on the show today. If you're tuning in for the first time, the GX show is, that show that caters to the younger generation, youth, teens, and children included. And today, I'm bringing you information with a very special guest that every single person, regardless of age, gender, career path, can take advantage of. All right, so please join me as I welcome my guest this morning, the very, very beautiful and eloquent Onyinechi Ekumankama. She is a senior executive and brand strategist and data analyst. All right, so senior executive, brand strategist, data analyst, president general amongst the nations at this point. At Media Reach OMD. Hello, Onyinechi. How are you today?
Hello, Onyinechi. It's so beautiful to see you this morning. I'm
Same
happy to be
here.
here.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful to see you too. I'm happy that technology can make this easy and possible for us. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Today we're talking about communication excellence. But let me also just ask about your, my guest is also a mom, a new mom. So I want to ask how your baby is.
Okay.
How's he doing?
Oh, he's doing very great, and it's possible we might be hearing his voice.
Yes, I was going to say, I hope he
he's
makes an appearance. I hope he does.
Thank you so much.
He's very welcome.
Of
You're very
course.
welcome.
Thank
And
you
of
so
course,
much.
congrats again.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. All right, so today we're talking about communication excellence. Gang. So let me start by asking you communication excellence. Is it the same thing as communicating? We say that the goal of communication is for the audience to understand what the speaker or the sender is saying. So, communication excellence, isn't communication enough? Why does it have to be excellent?
Okay, so thank you so much, Onyi, for that beautiful
very
question. Communication is very encapsulating, it covers a whole lot, right? And communication, in simple terms, is being able to convey information, right? And ensuring that your audience understands, or whoever is the receiver understands what you're saying. So communication, but it's important to communicate effectively and excellently. And effective, excellent communication is when your receiver or audience is able to decode, understand, and give feedback to communication. So communication is not just about communicating; it's about doing it effectively and rightly.
Oh, fantastic! It's about doing it effectively and rightly. Thank you very much for sharing. Giving us some more insight into the conversation. So, what difference does it make? Honestly, you shared with us the difference between communication and communicating excellently. Now, what is the difference that communicating excellently would make to someone maybe in the workplace or at school or even in the market? Do I stand to gain anything different from just, for lack of a better word, average or mediocre communication? Like, I'm just having I'm just having a conversation. But maybe I take some time to properly structure my words, my sentences, try to understand who I'm talking to so I can relate better. What do I stand to gain from practicing excellent communication? Is my question.
There's a whole lot to be gained when you communicate effectively, right?
Yes.
First and foremost, we have ordinary communication and effective communication, right? So if you have to understand first and foremost what you want to achieve before you start communicating.
Yeah.
What do I want my speaker or my audience to get from what I'm saying?
Okay.
What do I want them to quote from my message or information? So, for example, ordinary information, I don't expect anything from my audience. So I know feedback. My information can be vague. I can be easily misunderstood. No emotional intelligence attached, right? I'm not taking cues and reading my audience, understanding the way they feel, reading the room. Basically, I'm not reading anything from my audience. But effective communication is actively listening. In fact, I always say you've not communicated if you have not listened well. Effective communication is actively listening, understanding your audience, where they are, reading the room, reading non-verbal cues from your audience, right? And a lot of other things. So there's a lot involved in effective communication.
Thank you so much. I love that you said non-verbal cues, because in fact, I feel like people say that, what the person is, or what a person is not saying is louder than what they're saying. So, I might be saying things with my words, but my body language, my facial expressions,
he's saying something else,
and he's probably saying it louder. I mean, we all see those memes and those jokes, those tweets that go something like I can't control my face, something like that. So it's very interesting. So you're saying that these factors also contribute to communication excellence?
Yes, excellently they do. In fact, they determine if you have actually communicated or not. Wow.
Okay. Very interesting. Now my next question I think is very important. This communication excellence that we're discussing, is it a skill that is just for a specific set of people? For example, someone like me now, I speak for a living. Someone say, well, for you, we can see why, communication excellence is
necessary.
For a public speaker, maybe politicians, because they do a lot of public speaking as well. Media personalities. Is this a skill that is restricted to a certain group of people, or is it something that everyone should have? So whatever your answer is, please go ahead to defend it with not less than 200 words. I'm joking.
Okay, I'll do my best to do that. Okay, so just like you said, right? Just like we even established from the beginning, communication is important. You're saying something, you're asking me a question, right? And responding is very important to understanding what you have said. So communication is not restricted to a certain group of people. Every single person needs to learn effective communication as a skill, right? Because we interact with people, we have interactions with people every day. We have personal relationships, we have professional relationships, we have career relationships, we even have mentors and mentees relationship. We are people that are in leadership roles. So effective communication cuts across every sphere of life. It is needed to basically build anything or do anything you want to do. So it's not restricted to a certain group of people. I mean, as long as a husband and wife, people need effective communication.
Oh, yes.
So that tells you, effective communication is as necessary even in the home, because even as a wife or as a husband, you can be easily misunderstood. So every single person basically needs effective communication.
Absolutely.
We need effective communication as a skill. In fact, I wanted to say that this should be taught in schools. I know that this is not really taught. It's not part of our curricula in school, but we should begin to think of including stuff like this in our curricula, because every one of us will need effective communication. Okay,
you're absolutely correct. Thank you so much. You're correct. I mean, yes, English is taught in schools, but effective communication, I'm not sure. I don't think so. And I love that you took it somewhere a lot of people can relate to the home front. Even as a child, wanting to get something from your parents, you need to be able to communicate excellently and effectively, because just from going to say, oh, mommy, daddy, I want this, but if you're able to defend, mommy, daddy, this, I would like to have this, maybe I'm going back to school, I want this particular type of school bag, and then you can go ahead to defend, especially now that everything is so expensive. But if you can go ahead to properly articulate your desire,
exactly.
I mean, your parents will be moved, like, wow, look at how much effort you're putting into billing us, we appreciate this. And that makes all the difference, even in the market. So as you were speaking and talking about how effective communication and communication excellence cuts across all aspects of life, I was thinking in the market, someone would think, but what about the market man or woman, the person selling stuff in your kiosk? You find us sometimes we speak our local dialects in the market, or we speak pidgin. which is also one of our languages here in the country, and in some parts of Africa. And you find it's that communication excellence. But hey, communication excellence is not restricted to the English language, right? Whatever language you speak, could be Pidgin, it could be Hausa, Efik, Yoruba, Igbo, communication excellence matters. So even when you're properly able to effectively communicate that Pidgin, you find that your transition probably be smoother. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah, awesome. So please, I'd love for you to share some tips with us. Even begin to wind down on the show. I can't believe time is flying. Do you have any tips for us, or any resources that you could also share where we can, that we can practice, things that we can begin to implement like now in the next conversation that we're about to have?
Okay, so there are a lot of tips, but one of them, just to be effective, so one of the tips is active listening, timing your communication, pacing yourself, ensuring that your tone depicts the message you're trying to, there are a lot of things. Your tone depicts the message you're trying to communicate. Imagine if you were speaking to someone who lost someone. You can't be shouting, "Hey, I'm sorry you lost somebody," or, so tone, pacing yourself. Empathy is extremely important when you're communicating, and a lot of other skills like that. And speaking of resources where you can learn how to actually communicate, Speaker is a social enterprise that I am part of. It's a community that is building women, powerful women that can, communicate effectively. And they're having they have their social handle, Speaker NG. You can follow them on Instagram. They drop tips, daily tips every day. They have Instagram Live where top speakers within the professional space come to teach people how to speak effectively. I am part of that community, and it has really helped me a lot. They are having a conference on the 19th of October, and you can learn how to speak effectively in different spheres of life, right? We have facilitators that will be teaching how to speak effectively. Please come with your pen and paper to learn how to communicate effectively.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that you speak so beautifully. Thank you very much for walking your talk, literally. That's amazing. All right. So thank you for sharing, that resource where, people could go back to and, just see things that could help, and sharing with us opportunity that's coming up and maximize what you're talking about today. So I'm going to take you back to the tips a little bit. So you talked about active listening, which thank you for highlighting that, because a lot of us were so quick to talk. We want to talk, we want to be heard, but listening can make all the difference, especially listening to understand and not just to respond. But do you have any other tips you'd like to share with us before we let you go?
Okay, so I talked about empathy. Empathy is one very important skill. And then you talked about listening. Listening is one skill that a lot of us need to develop, because most of the times we communicate, we don't listen. And we listen to react or respond rather than to show empathy, right? So we shouldn't just communicate because you want to say something. Communicate because you want to pass a message and you don't want to be misunderstood. The good book, the Holy Book, the Bible says that it is more good to listen than to speak, right? So communicating effectively cuts across a whole lot of areas. Timing is very important. Be concise, be clear, right? Clarity is very important. That's a very important skill when you're communicating. Be concise, straight to the point. Don't dilly-dally. You can give real life stories. Another is the art of storytelling. I'm trying to round up a lot of points in how many minutes or seconds. So the art of storytelling is very important. Simplifying your message and showing that you can tell short stories to properly corroborate what you're trying to say is also another skill or tip to help with communication.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. One of my favorite preachers, that's the General Overseer of my church, Redeemed Christian Church of God. He's known for preaching with stories, and it really works. I find it very interesting, easy to understand and follow. So that helps. I like it when people tell stories, and you'd find that when people share stories, the lesson tends to stick longer. I guess that's why we used to have Tales by Moonlight, and at the end of every story there's typically a moral. They could have simply come out and say, "Though still is bad." But when you tell us a story as to that expresses that moral of the story that you're sharing, it makes the lesson stick more. Thank you so much, Eze, for coming on the show. Eze is so I will not mistake this kind of Odogu title. Ezine is the Senior Executive Brand Strategist and Data Analyst at Media Reach OMD. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, It was very pleasant to be here.
My absolute pleasure. Once again, could you share with us that Instagram handle you recommended we check out?
Okay, speaker NG. You can register for the conference. Like I said, it's basically to teach people effective communication.
All right.
On in the bio of the Instagram handle, you can get the link to register for the conference.
Okay, and is it free? Are we paying any amounts?
Yeah, it's extremely free. You just need to register, and you're getting so many information for free.
Wow,
so please,
amazing.
Yeah, a lot of information.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's speak with a her.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, speaker. SPEAKHERNG.
All right. Thank you so much, Izini. Once again, God bless you. Let's release you to go to your baby, so he will not fight us for taking his mommy from him this Saturday morning. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Of course, absolutely.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And to my dear listener, you know what to do with the information you've gotten. Check out that Instagram handle and do the needful. And also, when you hear something good, you share. So tell someone about it. Thank you so much to our guest once again, and to you, my listener, for tuning in. Up next is Traveler Culture with Emmanuel. Stay tuned. My name is Onyinechi Ekumankama. God bless you. I'll be back at 11 a.m.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's